Hi guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, I have to end up doing a voiceover for this video as my mic was turned off. My mic was turned off during this entire video that I posted. So I just decided that I'm gonna be doing a voiceover on the topic that I was speaking on. So what I was speaking on today was the Maroons of Jamaica, the Windward Maroons and the Leeward Maroons. So let's continue. So the Jamaican Maroons descended from the Africans who would free themselves from slavery in the colony of Jamaica, and they established communities of free black people in the island's mountainous interior, and that's primarily in the eastern parishes. The Africans who were enslaved during the Spanish rule over Jamaica, and that was between 1493 and 1655, those sets of Maroons, they may have been the first to develop such refuge communities on the island. The English who invaded the island in 1655, they continued the importation of enslaved Africans. They continued the importation of enslaved Africans to work on the island sugarcane plantation. Africans in Jamaica continually resisted the enslavement, with many who freed themselves becoming Maroons. So you see, that's how the Maroon groups were being formed and hence growing. The revolt that the Maroons have, they disrupted the sugar economy in Jamaica, and this made the colonizers them not happy because it disrupt their less profitable. They not make no money because of all of the uprising them. The uprising decreased after the British colonies colonial authorities then signed treaties with the Leeward Maroon in 1739 and with the Windward Maroon in 1740, which required them to support the institution of slavery. So you hear that? They signed that treaty with the colonizers. So, them signed the treaty with the colonizers against their own people in order to have peace in their communities. And it's not all the Maroon communities. However, it's not all the Maroon communities participated in bringing back runaway slaves, because runaway slave caused the population of the Maroon to grow massively, but you have some set of the Maroons which would then capture and return. So that's why them sign the treaty, and they return the slave and them get a portion of land so that they don't pay taxes and all of that. So let's continue and see. So after slavery was abolished in 1838, the importance of the Maroon to the colonial authorities that declined. That they weren't important to them anymore, because their one of their main thing that they used them for was to catch. They were like the first police of Jamaica. Them are the first police. The Maroons, them are the first police of Jamaica, because of them start capture, help to capture back runaway slave. People just like themselves, people who start out just like themselves, who run away from plantation to set up colonies. And see, people just not coming together in a long time. People now come together and just know. People join with institution where they're not supposed to join, and that they know. But everybody is looking out for their own benefit, right? All right, it says again, the Windward Maroon and those from the cockpit country, they resisted conquest in the First Maroon War, which was 1728 to 1740, which the colonial government ended in 1739 to 1740 by making treaties to grant land to respect Maroon autonomy in exchange for peace and aiding colonial militia if needed against external enemies. So the Maroon them end up side with the colonial rulers, the slave masters, them at the time. You understand me? Against what you can say is their own people. Anyway, the tension between Governor Alexander Lindsay and the majority of the Leeward Maroon resulted in the Second Maroon War from 1795 to 1796. Although the governor promised leniency, you hear the government promise them leniency if them surrendered and say he's not gonna deport them, but the government betrayed them and him end up deport 600 Maroons to British settlement in Nova Scotia, Canada, where enslaved African Americans who escaped from the United States were also resettled. You understand me? Say go upon them word. Even though them have agreement to not do certain things. That's I'm saying you can't trust those people. Right? The Maroons that were deported, they were unhappy with the condition in Nova Scotia, and in 1800 a majority of them left, having obtained passage to Freetown 8 years after the Sierra Leone Company established it in West Africa, which is present-day Sierra Leone. So a lot of Maroons went back, that they deported to British Columbia, then went back to Sierra Leone, which was a British colony, where they formed the Sierra Leone Creole ethnic identity. So let me tell you a bit about the Spanish Maroons. Because remember earlier in the video, I was mentioning that you had Maroon communities that were formed from the Spanish were ruling Jamaica. So those Maroons were freed communities before the British start bringing enslaved people on the island. You have free black people that was there. So some Spanish Maroons, they created palenques, or a stockaded mountain farms. First at Loydasville, and that is in modern-day St. Catherine, under Juan de Bolas. Juan de Bolas is also known as Lubolo, towards the western end of the Capit country, where the Vaharmali or Karmahali Negroes, under the leadership of Juan de Serras. There was possibly a third group that was active in the region of Poros, and that is in Manchester, and a fourth in the Blue Mountains. Right? During the first decade of English rule, these groups were active on behalf of the Spanish. But as it became increasingly obvious that the British win the war between the Spanish and conquer the island, the group changed their position and side with the English. So after this, they side with the English and get rid of the Spanish. Finally, get rid of the Spanish from the island. And in exchange for that, Governor St. George Lytton, the third baronet, he signed the first Maroon Treaty, where we were saying that they granted land on the same terms as English settlers. The colonial authorities paid the men of the Bolas to hunt supporters of the Sarah's recent runaways. So that means to say, pay that one, they hunt the other runaway, the Maroons them from the other group. Can you imagine? So you're trying to catch the same set of people that are trying to free themselves just like how you were. You freed yourself. Now you're siding with the colonial master to catch back those people. Anyway, as I said, it's not all the Maroon communities that were doing that, but a large number of them catch back runaway slave um, to send them back to the authorities, right? However, after they did that for Baronet and I helped capture all of these people and help get rid of the Spanish, the colonial Bolas, he was eventually killed. He was in an ambush, and that was probably by Maroons belonging to Desera, so the other side of the Maroon. While the Maroon belonging to the Bolas disappeared from history, the English authorities failed to subdue the Carmahale Maroons. The other Maroon groups remain independent in the mountainous interiors of Jamaica, surviving by subsistence farming, and them raid the plantation them sometimes in order to survive, quite rightly so. The initial Maroon groups faded from colonial history records, possibly migrating to more mountainous or remote regions in the interior, and they would have come together to form the nucleus of what we would later know now as the Windward Maroon. Over time, runaway slaves increased the Maroon population, which eventually came to control large areas of the mountainous interiors of Jamaica. So that was a bit about the Spanish Maroons, their side of the story. A bit of their side of the story from my perspective, that is. I hope you like this video, guys. It's a bit different, but it's just a bit of history that probably we need to know. By about 1720, a stronger Windward community had developed around the culturally Africanized group of 3 villages known as Nannytown. This was under the spiritual leadership of Queen Nanny. Queen Nanny, she's an Ashanti woman, sometimes in alliance and sometimes in competition with other Windward groups. She was known for her exceptional leadership skills, especially in guerrilla warfare during the First Maroon War. One tactic particular to the Jamaican Maroons involved the art of camouflage using plants. So they are good at using plants to cover up themselves so that they are not seen. They said that her remains are reputedly buried at Bump Grave. I don't know how true that is, in Moortown. Well, at least they have a place of remembrance for her. The main town of the Windward Maroons, who are concentrated in and around the Rio Grande Valley in the Middle Eastern parishes of Portland. Queen Nanny, also known as Granny Nanny, she died in the 1750s. And she's the only woman honored as one of Jamaica's national hero. She has been immortalized in songs and legend, guys. One by one, and get rid of them, right? In practice, the Maroon troops commanded of the territory and skill in guerrilla warfare. So the Maroon, they are warrior. This gave them a strong advantage over their colonial forces. Because you know, so them whitey than we, then can manage certain things. After a lot of fighting, the British took and destroyed Nannytown in 1734. But most of the Windward Maroons, most of them simply dispersed and formed new settlements. At this point, however, fighting shifted to the Leeward, where the British troops had equally limited success against the well-trained and organized forces of Kojo. So Britain was nothing, them couldn't manage Kojo from the Leeward Maroon on the island of Jamaica. right? By the mid-1730s, the warfare was proving costly to the Maroon and the British alike and was turning into an ongoing armed stalemate. Kojo rejected suggestion of a treaty in 1734 and 1736, but by 1738, it's like he agreed to parley with John Guthrie. That name John Guthrie, when I read that name Guthrie, it set a bell off in my brain because I'm saying Guthrie. Let me go and do some research on that name. And lo and behold, when I did some research on that name in the era of Jamaica, where that where that name is predominantly, that's where you would find people who have that name. They are mainly from there. So it doesn't matter if they're scattered elsewhere. Most time you have them great grandmother or whatever, they end up they can trace it back to that section and to find out that he was a plantation owner. So a plantation owner by the name of John Guthrie. Kojo and him agree to the treaty in 1738. This local planter and militia officer. So Kojo, he was a local planter. In my thing that I must master. But merely his plantation wasn't as big as the other plantation. So that's why they would refer to him as this local planter and militia officer was known and respected by the Maroons. In 1830, in 1739, the treaty signed under British Governor Edward Trelawney, it granted Kojo's Maroon 1,500 acres of land between their strongholds of Trelawney Town and Accompong in the Cockpit country and a certain amount of political autonomy and economic freedom. So you hear that they got 1,500 acres of land, right? That was signed over to the Maroons. Legal contract, which were signed over to the Maroons. But now it's like the government of Jamaica is impeaching on Maroon land because be a war going in the Cockpit country with the devastation that is going on there. So well, I don't know, because it's like what some people are trying to say, because Jamaica got independence, it's like all of that agreement with the Maroons and the British, it's like null and void. God, it is kind of a confusing situation, especially to me, because when I'm looking at it from both sides, it's like I can see where the Maroon they have signed a treaty, something which is I'm guessing is it can go in front the court of law. But then after the independent, it kind of makes things a bit tricky in my situation. But hey, let's see. So the treaty, they give them 1,500 acres of land. And in return for all of that, the Maroons, they were to provide military support in case of invasion or rebellion. So in case of anything from the slave, the Maroons were to support military support. So it's like the Maroons were the first police in Jamaica, as far as how me see it. So yes, as I was saying, as part of the peace treaty between the Maroon and the British, they were to return runaway slave in exchange for a bounty of $2 each. So each person them catch, them get $2. So you can imagine the amount of people some of the other people them catch and care about, because at the end of the day, you also have people who just look out himself and self alone, right? The last clause in the treaty caused tension between the Maroon and the enslaved black population. But it must cause tension, because if it's the same set of people and you're gonna sign with the slave masters to capture your setup, instead of you trying to free everyone, you free yourself, but you're okay with those being enslaved. Like, we still see those kind of things in today's society, where people have maybe achieved what they want, are getting something that they want, but they don't want others to win along with them. They want to win by themselves and then look down at other people. So of course that will cause problem in it, right? Because it have a cause tension between the Maroon and the enslaved black population, right? Even though from time to time you have runaways from the plantation, they still found their way into Maroon settlements, right? In addition, a British superintendent, so this is a part of the clause what them writing, and says like a white man have to live in the village. And that is how me understand it. It's like him at the head overseer in each in each Maroon town, right? In addition, a British superintendent was to be assigned to live in each Maroon town. In 1740, similar treaties were signed by Quo and Nani, major leaders of the Windward Maroons. The Windward Maroons were originally located at Crawford's Town and the new Nani Town, now called Moortown. In all, about 600 Maroons came to terms with the British authorities through these treaties, right? But I was saying, not all the Maroon accepted the treaties. Rebellions occurred in the Maroon communities in the years that followed. After the treaties, the white superintendent appointed by the governors eventually took control of the Maroon town. Of course, because that was their initial plan from day one. But the Maroon, them never see it like that. In the 1740s, some Leeward Maroons who opposed the 1739 treaty rose in revolt, but Kojo crushed the rebellion. So that's why I have this Maroon down at the Leeward them up until today. The two set of Maroon them can't say eye to eye, right? Because here it's saying Kojo. Yes, guys, I was just stuttering a bit because I say Kojo help the British to crush other slave rebellions. Aye. In 1754, who attempted to overthrow Edward Crawford, which was the new Maroon leader of the Windward Maroon town. And in the resulting conflict, Crawford town was destroyed. Governor Charles Knowles re-established control over the uprising with the help of other Maroons. Hear that? He then ordered that the Maroons of Crawford Town be resettled in the new nearby Windward Maroon towns of Charlestown and Scott Hall. The Maroon population, it grew from 664 in 1739 to 1,288 by 1796. And that was at a time when both the slave population and the white communities was ravaged by disease. So you see, because the Maroons communities weren't mixing with the colonial population, they weren't catching the disease that were being brought in by the European. Because the European, everywhere they go, they always bring disease with them, which would normally help to get rid of the local population. So the Maroon, they weren't ravaged while their population was growing. Yeah, that is the white settlers and the slave population. Their communities was ravaged by disease. Anyway, guys, so this was just a bit of history on the Maroons of Jamaica. There is so much out there to go. You can just go and do your research. I'm just giving you a bit of highlight. And just to let you know that a lot of the things that are taking place now between black people, I'm speaking about in Jamaica, it has been going on not just now, it has been going on for a long time. And the black groups have always been infiltrated by outsiders who are trying to separate them and to bring chaos, right? And it's the same thing going on the island. And now in the industry you're in, there's it's like they have set some people in place. It's like their job is to solely come and destroy the core of the black community because I don't even know what some of them agenda is, you know? Vibes Carter just came out of prison after doing 13 years. And I mean, he's a man of 50 years old and his perception of life, I don't know if it's because he has been locked up, he might try to relive those 13 years, but for somebody who has been in the dancehall community and have promoted a lot of war and violence and a lot of indecent behavior for the lay harm for our young ladies to grow up and to do. No, these people don't take responsibilities for their action. It's like gone are the days when they say the community helped to raise a child. Anyway, guys, that's another topic for another video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And this was just the bit of information on the Maroons of Jamaica. There are many, many websites that you can just type in Google and just get additional information and just do your research. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you in my next video. Bye.